Hello again, Maryann here from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. How are you, wherever you are in the world when you're watching? Huge shout out to you. I've just finished a reading on the royals, covering all the questions that seem to be floating around in the minutiae pea soup of the social media. So if you haven't checked that out, you might, if you're interested, you might want to go back and have a look. Also looked at the new moon in Aquarius, which is coming up on the 10th of February. Now, I didn't get to the Supreme Court of America of the US will be ruling on whether Trump can stay on the ballot. Every time I read, I don't get clear answers. I think that's because I'm not asking the right questions yet. So here I'm going to try and see if I can get more clarity. And, you know, maybe it's something that is going to be complex in its, very complex in its outcome. Okay, so they are due to hear oral arguments now, and I don't think it's going to be long before they hand down their finding, because the primaries, the general election is approaching. The Republican Party needs to choose its candidate. Now, bit of background for those that don't know it. Colorado Supreme Court found that he did engage in insurrection and he wasn't, under their state laws, eligible to be on the ballot. Qualified. He wasn't qualified. Let's just put it like that. The ex-president was not qualified to be on the ballot for a general election because the Colorado Supreme Court found he did in fact engage in insurrection. Okay, so let's have a look. How is this SCOTUS going to rule? Now, the ex-president appointed 3 judges during his term in very somewhat controversial circumstances the last one a couple of weeks before the actual election. Okay, so they are conservative jurors. All right, let's have a look. The questions I want to ask, okay, 14th Amendment. I'm using the Rider-Waite Tarot. Andrew Weisselberg is a constitutional scholar. He says there are a number of questions that are very important to look for. Is the president an officer? Does the president take a different oath? These are all based on matters that the ex-president's team has raised. Did Trump engage in insurrection? That's the one I want to do. Is Congress required to enforce it? Now, I've never asked the Supreme Court. I don't think they're sending it back to the states at all. That would be mayhem, create mayhem. They do need to do something. Now, they could decide to send it back to Congress, but let's ask these questions. I think we'll start with, will the Supreme Court of the US find that Trump did engage in insurrection? Will the Supreme Court find they would then be upholding Colorado Supreme Court's decision? Will the Supreme Court find that Trump, the ex-president, did engage? Ex-President Trump, I'm going deaf in one ear, did engage in insurrection. Will the US Supreme Court find that the ex-president did engage in insurrection? The Lover's card. Okay, that's interesting. It's always my card for his base. You know, come to the capital. We're going to fight like hell to take our country back. The Lover's card. And then we get the Queen of Wands. Who's the fire sign? Is that Coney Barrett? Let's keep going. We have the 8 of Pentacles. So this is skill. It's also the Apprentice. This is around the people that were at the Capitol on January the 6th. We get anxiety in the past. That's the past card. A lot of anxiety. And we get barriers and boundaries. The boundaries on that day fell. That's important. The guardrails failed. The guardrails failed. They will need to say something about that. Who was responsible for calling in the National Guard? The President. The President delayed. The President didn't do it. Didn't call in the National Guard. And contrary to what the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories are, no, it was not the head of Congress's authority. They did not have the authority to do that. Only the President had the authority to do that, and he delayed. The Knight of Swords. These are interesting cards. The truth emerging. We have the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles. So something withering on the vine in this deck, but one pentacle has dropped off. That's in the present, and then we get the death, the end of something. These are certainly full-on cards. In the hopes and fears, we get the Empress card, abundance, something coming to fruition, a cycle of time. Then we get the Knight of Cups. By way of not calling off his supporters, the delays are going to be very instrumental. And the Ace of Swords, wow. And the Page of Cups, a bombshell. My God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, well, sorry, but sometimes I've been waiting for this clarity in all these readings, and on that question I get a yes, that they will find in some way that he had influence with his base, the people he sent to the capital, and he didn't call them off. The guardrails failed. So that's a potential finding. Three judges and new starts here. So we have the King of Pentacles. We also have the Strength card. And we also have money. And we also have illusion and delusion. But we do have retreat, ill health, wounded in battle. We have the Queen of Swords, okay, and the Tower card. Okay, so not all judges are going to agree with that, but there is one, I don't know, there's one judge that surprises everybody and says, yeah, yep, he did, through his, at the very least, his inaction. I want to draw some clarifiers on that, because this is important. Of course, I could be wrong. Okay, some clarifiers. But this is like the truth comes out in this trial. Okay, the Knight of Cups, the Ace of Swords. Can you clarify the Knight of Cups? Let's just start with that one, the Knight of Cups. That wanted to come out, and we get the Fool. New starts. It's a yes card. All these are yes cards. Not all of them, though. Not all justices will agree with this. Will they find he engaged in insurrection? The Page of Rods, yeah, calling out, speaking, not speaking when he had the chance to. It's all about what he did do and what he didn't do. It's as much about what he didn't do as about what he did do. Show me, is this a yes, please? Is this a yes? My God. I'm going to say they do. They do uphold the Colorado Supreme Court's finding that he engaged in insurrection. And I think because the guardrails failed, he was the ultimate. The buck stopped with him as the president. Okay, so let's okay, so that's positive. But I haven't finished my questions yet. So they might find, yes, he did engage in insurrection. Let's see, is the president an officer? That's another question Weiselberg says should be. Weiselman. Legal constitutional scholar says is important to watch. Weiselberg is the CFO of the Trump org. Weiselman. Okay. So is the president an officer? Okay, so focusing on these questions. Is the president an officer of the court? Is the president an officer in as it relates to the 14th Amendment? Is the president an officer under the 14th Amendment? Will the Supreme Court find he is an officer as it's defined in the 14th Amendment? The voter, takes, and then we get downfall. And then we get the Queen of Cups. This is not so straightforward. The Truth, the King of Swords. And then we get the Eight of Wands, which in the immediate future. If he's not an officer, then the voter is not served by a president. The Strength card, the Ace of Pentacles. The outcome card is he is an officer to the as it is defined. But we get the Ace of Cups, the King of Pentacles, the Star card. So we get here, these cards are suggesting there's something around an oath, the oath that he takes that's important to this question of is he an officer? The oath that he takes is to the people. The oath that he takes is to the people, and it is, I don't know, it's as clear cut on this question. Is the president an officer? Three of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, and the Sun and the Death card. The oath that he takes is to the people. All right, so this is where it might come unstuck. Oh gosh, I hope they don't do that. Yes, he engaged in insurrection, but it comes unstuck around, is the president an officer? Okay, does the president take a different oath? Does the president take a different oath? The Tower card. The Tower card comes out. Okay, the oath to uphold. The oath to uphold for the good of the people. The oath to uphold the laws. Okay, so do they find that the Tower card comes out there? So do they find, does the president take a different oath? I think I know what's going to happen now. Okay, the Three of Wands. The Justice card, no. He takes the oath to uphold the laws. The president takes the oath to uphold the laws. The Eight of I think this succeeds. I think they find the president takes the same oath to uphold the law as what other officers do. So it's like he succeeds on, like it's one issue that might rule this out, with the finding that he did engage in insurrection. But he can still be on the ballot because he isn't an officer in the same way as what it is meant in the 14th Amendment. It's something like that. I hope I'm wrong. All right, is Congress required to enforce it? Because this would be batting it back to Congress. Is Congress required to enforce the 14th Amendment? Is Congress required to enforce the 14th Amendment? The Empress card, the Knight of Wands, the Eight of Cups, the Past, Crossroads, the Nine of Pentacles. I know where this is going. Page of Cups, Three of Cups. Let's just pull all these out. I know where this is going. Yeah. Is Congress required to enforce it? defending oneself. Okay, I'm not. I don't know that they will. I don't know that they will put it back to Congress, but what they may do is say that so they might uphold on maybe three of these matters, but on one, no. And if according to Andrew Weisselman, if they don't succeed, Andrew Weisselman, yeah, I got it right that time. He was a top prosecutor at the Justice Department. If they find that he is on three or four of these things, or three of these things, and if they disagree on one issue, the case fails. And I think that's what it's going to be. However, they do find he engaged in insurrection, which I don't know how that goes then. There's a trial to determine that. Well, no, it's not a trial to determine insurrection. It's a trial to determine whether he obstructed justice and the meeting and the certifying of votes, etc. It doesn't have an insurrection charge in it.